Good morning, my name's Nick from the Nicholas Driving Academy. What I'm going to talk about today and show you a short video is of the Bromley test centre. I'm not going to show you the whole test centre, I'm not going to show you test routes. I'm going to show you a few roads that can cause problems if you're not paying particular attention, and sometimes it can be just bad luck because some of the signs aren't that clear, and sometimes it's very difficult to determine what is a 30 and what is a 20 zone. It's very confusing even for experienced drivers like myself. So basically at Bromley, you come out the test centre, there's many routes you can go, but I'm going to show you the one that takes you down towards Lewisham. It's the Lewisham borough towards Grove Park, where there are some 20-mile-an-hour zones, and it goes from 30 to 20, and quite often the 20 zones are painted on the road and they often fade. Sometimes if it's traffic you can't see them, and it's very important to make sure that if you're in a 20 zone that you do not go above 20. I mean, obviously it's impossible to keep it dead on 20, but I'll give you an example. If you're driving on a 20 zone and say you're fluctuating between 19 and 22 mile an hour, that won't be a problem, although obviously the speed limit is 20. Take note of that. If you're doing 25 in a 20 zone and you only do it for a matter of seconds and then realize and come down to 20, then there's a good chance your test will still be okay on that particular thing, but I can't guarantee that. It depends on the situation. So it's very important when you see the speed limits change, you stick exactly to what they are, and that is very important. So I'm going to show you now a few roads which can cause problems. Wouldn't it be a shame? The whole test went really well, and all you failed for is doing 24 mile an hour in a 20 zone. I know technically it's still over the speed limit, but 24 mile an hour in a 20 zone, wouldn't it be bad luck to fail the whole test on that? That's why pay particular attention to this short video. It's not too long. As I said, there's plenty of very good videos on here that show you the whole of Bromley test routes. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you this one area which can cause problems for quite a few pupils on test at Bromley. Anyway, stay safe, and if you've got a driving test, good luck. Control those nerves. Please feel free to comment. Any questions, I'll do my best to answer. And of course, if you can press the like button, that's even better. Stay safe, and please enjoy the video. Good morning everyone, bright and early from Bromley Driving Test Centre. I'm in the waiting room, which is well kitted out, good facilities, and the great news is from the 1st of March, driving tests can now do the full duration. What that means is basically before, if a pupil made a serious driving fault, they could come back to the test centre early, but now they can do the full duration. And also regarding face coverings, although we still need to be mindful, you don't need to wear a face covering while on test. But I would sort of say, maybe go on the side of caution, but it's entirely up to the individual. Stay safe, and safe driving out there. Coming out of the test centre now, assuming you've reversed into your bay and you're coming out. It's quite busy because we've got a supermarket there, we've got building on the left, and there's often a lot of roadworks and parked cars, so speed limits don't really apply around here. You go as slow as safe. I would recommend probably 10 to 15 miles an hour around here, possibly 20. And we're going to turn left, and we're going to head towards the Bromley test centre on the left, where the office is. Quite often you can turn right here to go towards Bromley, Chislehurst that way, but we're going to go left towards Grove Park. specifically, I'm going to show you the 20-mile-an-hour zones where now the driving test centre is on the left. That's where the office is. But you park around the back of the centre. You go past the Lidl, look for the landmarks. This is a 30-mile-an-hour zone. How do I know? Well, there's no signs. That's exactly why. If there's no signs, then it's 30 usually. Look for the Toyota garage on the right. There's your landmark. Still on a 30 zone. It doesn't say 30 anywhere, but it is 30. Assuming, because this road can be quite busy, you'd be lucky if you can do 30. But only do the speed which is safe. There's nothing wrong with going slower as long as the road's not clear and you're not holding up traffic and you're driving safely. That's fine. Now you're on test, you're driving along here. It's a 30 zone. I say quite often it can be quite a lot of traffic here, but shortly it will go to a 20, and this is where it's very, very important that you pay particular attention to this, because you wouldn't want to fail your test on something like that, and it can be totally avoided. Now look ahead of you, it goes to 20. Now that's quite a big sign. It goes to 20. It's also painted on the road as well. It's very, very important that when you approach that, you're doing 20. Don't approach it at 30 and then do 20. Make sure you do 20 as you approach that speed limit. And then it's 20 all the way along here. But pay particular attention and stay alert to road signs and speed limits. Ahead of us there's traffic lights. We're in Grove Park. We are going to go left at those lights. Now pay particular attention to this road. Now this road is a very, very long road. It's quite wide. It doesn't look like a 20-mile-an-hour road, but it is. So make sure that you stick as close to 20 as you can. And keep a check on the actual tarmac, because that is where the signs are usually painted. But to be honest with you, if there's a bit of traffic, it actually does you a favour, because it does help you keep your speed at 20. It's when the roads are clear, that's when you can get a bit carried away. Now we're driving down towards Beckenham Hill because we're going to turn left. Note the bus lane on the left. This road is a 30 zone. There's no signs, but it's a 30. If there's no signs, often means it's a 30. And if you see a speed camera sign, that normally tells you the speed of which the road is. But that bus lane on my left, just bear in mind, check the operational times, when you can go in them and when you can't. Like that one says 7 till 10 AM in the morning. So we're going to go left into Beckenham Hill. We're in Burnt Ash Lane now. That is where the driving test centre is, further down. This is a 30 zone. Just bear in mind, when you do the sat-nav, if they do a sat-nav, more than likely they will.
At the end of the road, turn left, London Lane. Turn left, then, after 250 yards, bear right.
We're in Grove Park Road now, where this road is a 30-mile-an-hour zone. But not far up the road, it goes into a 20 zone, which I'll show you shortly. So it's very, very important to concentrate very hard on the different speed limits you can come across, because Bromley and Lewisham Borough, they change drastically. So whatever the speed limit is, try to do it. Don't go too slow, don't go too fast. Ideally, try to be spot on the speed limit, but it's not always possible to drive exactly on the dot. We are turning left because you have to go left, and the sign says Bromley and Downham. This is still a 20-mile-an-hour zone. As you can see on the road there, it's painted. Quite often the 20 zones are painted as opposed to signs on lampposts. But as you can see ahead of us, there's a very, very small 20 sign. And it's very important that you concentrate and keep your speed at 20 until the speed changes, and it will. Don't rely on other vehicles because they're going at a certain speed, you think it's okay. Now this is quite a long bit of road. Now it goes to 30, and that sign I didn't see till the very last minute. So now we're in 30. So it's very, very important that you try to do as close to 30 as possible, if safe to do so. Because what it does, it tells the examiner that you've seen the sign. Because if you carried on doing 20, you could fail your test for going too slow. So, plus once you approach a sign that says from 20 to 30, by increasing your speed, it shows that you've seen the sign and you've observed. Now we're driving very close to where the test centre is now, and this is a 30 road. Now the test centre is over there on the right. But the test centre car park is at the back of the building. That is where you normally park for your test. We're going to take the next road on the right. Into Rosalind Way. We're going to take the next road on the right. Now, although these roads here are not specifically 20, you certainly couldn't go very fast on them anyway. Ahead of you, you'll see a Lidl. There's your landmark. There's your test centre. The test centre's just round the side of the Lidl. It's very busy around there. You can be very careful because they're doing road works. They're building new houses. So there's a lot going on. The driving test centre is round to the right here. Go very, very careful here. And there's the driving test centre just there, where our designated bay is for parking. We're turning to Rosalind Way now. I mean, although this road here doesn't say 20, it's a very, very tight road, and probably your speed limit would be 20 for safety. This is what's so confusing with all these different speed limits. It's very, very confusing. Now, at the end of this road, we are going to turn right. This can be quite a tricky right turn. If you go left, you go to Grove Park area. And if you go right, you go more into the Bromley area, where the speed limits are quite often 30 and they can even be 40. Bear in mind, when you start the test, you may well be on a sat-nav for a good 15 minutes.
After 200 yards, bear right, A21, Bromley Hill. Bear right.
This is all a 20 zone. So we're going to turn into Downham Way. Note on the roadside, it says 20. I say they're quite worn out. So this road is 20. It doesn't look like a 20 road, but it's 20. And it goes to quite a long way. Because Bromley has many, many test routes, and quite often they go away from the 20-mile-an-hour zones. But if you were to come this way, Lewisham way, towards Grove Park, possibly towards Hither-green, there are lots of 20s which you need to pay particular attention to. Now we're on Downham Way, which is a very, very long road. And the whole duration of this road is 20, all the way from Grove Park. But luckily, there are quite a few signs on the actual road that says 20. There aren't many on lampposts, bear that in mind. Now we're driving down towards Beckenham Hill because we're going to turn left. Note the bus lane on the left. This road is a 30 zone. There's no signs, but it's a 30. If there's no signs, often means it's a 30. And if you see a speed camera sign, that normally tells you the speed of which the road is. But that bus lane on my left, just bear in mind, check the operational times, when you can go in them and when you can't. Like that one says 7 till 10 AM in the morning. So we're going to go left into Beckenham Hill. Now we're on Beckenham Hill now. There's a nice big 20 sign, there we go. There's also a sign for a speed camera, and it's also painted on the road as well, the speed limit. It's not so bad if the councils make the signage clear, although I don't necessarily agree with some of the ones which they've actually done. But as long as the signs are clear to the motorist, then I don't have too much of a problem with that. But it's when you never know quite what the speed limit is on the road you're on. That's when it gets tricky. Now, we're on Beckenham Hill now. There's a nice big 20 sign, there we go. There's also a sign for a speed camera, and it's also painted on the road as well, the speed limit. It's not so bad if the councils make the signage clear, although I don't necessarily agree with some of the ones which they've actually done. But as long as the signs are clear to the motorist, then I don't have too much of a problem with that. But it's when you never know quite what the speed limit is on the road you're on. That's when it gets tricky. Now, we're on Beckenham Hill now. There's a nice big 20 sign, there we go. There's also a sign for a speed camera, and it's also painted on the road as well, the speed limit. It's not so bad if the councils make the signage clear, although I don't necessarily agree with some of the ones which they've actually done. But as long as the signs are clear to the motorist, then I don't have too much of a problem with that. But it's when you never know quite what the speed limit is on the road you're on. That's when it gets tricky. Please note, on this particular clip where they're driving down the Bearing Road from Grove Park, it's a 20 mile an hour all the way down to the lights, and they quite often go right at the lights on a 40 mile an hour carriageway down to the Cliftons roundabout, and then turn right towards Sidcup, and then back to Mottingham, back to Grove Park. And of course the speed limits fluctuate from 20, 30 and 40. It's even possible you could come across a 50 mile an hour zone, or even faster than that, depending on what route, which test centre you're going on. So just be prepared and just be ready for those change of speed limits, and be alert. Stay safe, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you found that video useful, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button. Feel free to comment and subscribe, and thanks for watching. If you've got a driving test coming up, I wish you the best of luck and safe driving out there.